Hello, beautiful soul. Take a moment right now to settle into wherever you are. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. You are here, and that matters more than you know. I want you to know that whatever brought you to this moment, whatever questions are stirring in your heart, whatever longing you feel for something more, all of this is sacred, and all of this is exactly as it should be. There's something stirring within you, isn't there? A feeling that you're meant for more, that there's a deeper connection waiting for you, that the universe has gifts and blessings with your name on them. Yet sometimes it feels like you're speaking into the void, like your prayers and wishes are floating out into space without ever being heard or answered. You've tried visualization, you've tried positive thinking, you've tried asking and pleading and hoping, but still, that feeling remains, that somehow the universe isn't quite listening to you the way you wish it would. Let me tell you something that I've learned over many years of walking this path, and it's something that changed everything for me. The universe is always listening. Always. But here's what most of us don't understand. The universe doesn't listen to our words. It doesn't listen to our wishes or our wants or even our most heartfelt prayers. The universe listens to who we are being. It responds to the energy we carry, the frequency we emit, the truth of what we believe about ourselves and what we deserve. You see, we've been taught to think of the universe as something outside of ourselves, something we need to convince or petition or bargain with. But the truth is far more beautiful and far more empowering than that. The universe isn't separate from you. You are part of the universe, and the universe is part of you. When you understand this, everything changes. You stop trying to get the universe's attention, and you start realizing that you've always had it. Right now, as you're listening to these words, the universe is responding to you. It's responding to the hope in your heart, to the willingness that brought you here, to the part of you that believes transformation is possible. That believing part of you, no matter how small it might feel right now, is already in conversation with all of creation. The universe cannot ignore you because you are not separate from it. You are an expression of it, a unique and irreplaceable note in the grand symphony of existence. But I understand why it doesn't always feel that way. I understand why sometimes it feels like you're invisible, like your dreams don't matter, like everyone else has figured out some secret that you haven't learned yet. These feelings are real, and they're valid, and they're also opportunities. They're invitations to look more deeply, to understand more fully, to align more completely with the truth of who you really are. What I want to share with you today isn't another technique or another method to try. What I want to share with you is a way of being that makes you absolutely irresistible to the universe. Not because you're doing something to get its attention, but because you're finally allowing yourself to be who you've always been, a beloved child of creation, worthy of every good thing, deserving of love and abundance and joy, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. The path we're walking together isn't about making yourself more worthy. You're already worthy. It isn't about making yourself more lovable. You're already lovable. It isn't about earning your place in the universe. You already belong here. What this path is about is remembering these truths so deeply that they become the foundation of how you move through the world. When you live from this place of knowing, when you breathe from this space of belonging, when you speak from this truth of worthiness, the universe cannot help but respond. Not because you've finally said the right words or done the right things, but because you've finally allowed yourself to be who you've always been. The journey we're taking together will ask you to let go of some old ideas about how things work. It will invite you to question some beliefs that might have been with you for a very long time. It will encourage you to trust parts of yourself that you might have been taught to doubt. This isn't always easy, but it's always worth it, and you don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to do it all at once. You just have to be willing to begin, and you've already done that by being here. So let's begin this beautiful journey together. Let's explore what it means to live in such alignment with love, with truth, with your authentic self, that the universe has no choice but to shower you with blessings. Let's discover what happens when you stop trying so hard to be heard and start allowing yourself to be seen. Let's learn how to communicate with creation, not through desperation or need, but through joy and appreciation and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are and exactly where you belong. The universe has been waiting for this conversation. It has been waiting for you to step into this deeper understanding, this fuller expression of your magnificent self. And now, in this moment, we begin. You know, there's something magical that happens when we truly understand how we communicate with the universe. It's not through our words, though our words have power. It's not through our actions alone, though our actions matter deeply. The way we communicate with the universe is through something far more fundamental and far more powerful: our energy. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold creates a vibration that goes out into the world. This isn't mystical thinking. This is simply how life works. Just as a radio station broadcasts on a particular frequency, you are constantly broadcasting your frequency to the universe. And just as your radio can only pick up the stations that match the frequency you're tuned to, the universe can only respond to you based on the frequency you're sending out. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most of us have been trying to change our circumstances by focusing on what we want, but we've been broadcasting from the frequency of what we don't want. We say we want love, but we're broadcasting loneliness. We say we want abundance, but we're broadcasting lack. We say we want peace, but we're broadcasting worry and fear. The universe isn't ignoring us. It's responding perfectly to the frequency we're actually sending, not the frequency we think we're sending. Think of it this way. When you really, truly want something from a place of joy and excitement and absolute knowing that it's already yours, how does that feel in your body? There's a lightness to it, an expansion, a sense of celebration. Now think about wanting something from a place of desperation or need or fear that you'll never have it. That feels completely different, doesn't it? There's a contraction, a heaviness, a sense of grasping. These are two entirely different frequencies, and they create entirely different results. The universe doesn't judge these frequencies as good or bad. It simply responds to them. When you broadcast the frequency of joy and gratitude and knowing, you receive experiences that match that frequency. When you broadcast the frequency of fear and lack and doubt, you receive experiences that match that frequency. The universe is always saying yes to whatever frequency you're offering. This is why so many people feel frustrated with manifestation and the law of attraction. They're trying to use their minds to create what they want, but their hearts are still tuned to what they fear. They're trying to think their way into abundance while feeling scarcity. They're trying to visualize love while believing they're not lovable. The mind and the heart are broadcasting different frequencies, and the universe responds to the stronger signal, which is almost always the heart. But here's the beautiful news. Once you understand this, everything becomes simpler. Instead of trying to manage every thought and control every outcome, you can focus on the one thing that changes everything: your relationship with yourself. Because the frequency you broadcast to the universe is simply a reflection of how you feel about who you are and what you deserve. When you genuinely love and accept yourself, you naturally broadcast the frequency of love. When you truly believe you're worthy of good things, you naturally broadcast the frequency of abundance. When you feel peaceful and whole within yourself, you naturally broadcast the frequency of harmony. The universe doesn't have to guess what you want. Your energy tells the story clearly. This is why demanding or begging or pleading with the universe rarely works. These approaches come from the frequency of separation, of believing that you and the universe are on different teams. But when you align yourself with love, with gratitude, with the deep knowing that you belong here and you matter and you deserve beautiful things, you're no longer asking the universe for something. You're joining with it in creating something. The universe loves to create. Creation is its nature, its joy, its very essence. When your frequency matches this creative, loving, abundant nature, you become a co-creator rather than a supplicant. You stop asking for your life to change and start participating in changing it. You stop waiting for the universe to give you what you want and start allowing it to express itself through you. This shift from asking to allowing, from demanding to aligning, from separation to unity, this is what makes you irresistible to the universe. Not because you've learned some secret technique, but because you've remembered your true relationship with all of life. You've remembered that you're not outside creation looking in. You're creation expressing itself as you. When you live from this understanding, when you move through your days knowing that your energy is your prayer, that your frequency is your conversation with the divine, that your very being is your request and your gift all at once, this is when miracles become natural. This is when synchronicities multiply. This is when the universe seems to rearrange itself just to support your highest good. Now, if all of this sounds wonderful but also feels impossible given where you are right now, please be gentle with yourself. Shifting your frequency isn't about forcing yourself to feel differently or pretending that everything is perfect when it isn't. It's about beginning to notice what frequency you're currently broadcasting and lovingly, gradually, choosing frequencies that feel better and serve you more. There's something that gets in the way of this beautiful alignment with the universe, and I want to talk about it openly and lovingly. It's what I like to call the static in our connection. Just like when you're trying to tune into your favorite radio station, but there's interference that makes the signal unclear, there are things within us that create interference in our communication with the universe. This static isn't your fault. You didn't create it on purpose, and you certainly don't deserve to be stuck with it. Most of this interference comes from old programming, from messages you received early in life about who you were supposed to be and what you were supposed to want and how much you were allowed to have. Some of it comes from painful experiences that taught you to protect yourself by not wanting too much or not believing too deeply. Some of it comes from a culture that profits from keeping you feeling small and needy and separate. But here's what I want you to understand. This static, this interference, these blocks that seem so solid and so permanent, they're actually made of nothing more than thoughts and beliefs. They feel real because you've been thinking them for so long, but they're not truth. They're just patterns of thinking that have become habits, and like any habit, they can be changed. The most common piece of static I see is the belief that you're not enough. Not good enough, not smart enough, not spiritual enough, not deserving enough. This belief creates so much interference because it puts you in a constant state of trying to earn what's already yours. When you believe you're not enough, you approach the universe from a place of deficit, and that deficit becomes what you experience. Another common block is the fear of disappointment. Somewhere along the way, you learned that hoping too much or wanting too much or believing too deeply would only lead to pain. So you learned to want quietly, to hope carefully, to dream small. This protection mechanism creates a frequency of holding back, of not fully engaging with life, and the universe can only meet you where you are. Then there's the static that comes from believing you have to figure everything out yourself. This creates a frequency of struggle and effort and forcing rather than allowing and receiving and flowing. When you believe that everything depends on you and your actions, you cut yourself off from the infinite intelligence and support that wants to help you. One of the most painful blocks is the belief that you're separate from everyone and everything else. This separation creates a frequency of loneliness and competition and scarcity. When you feel separate, you feel like you have to fight for your place, compete for resources, prove your worth. This frequency attracts more experiences of separation and struggle. There's also the static that comes from old pain and trauma that hasn't been lovingly acknowledged and healed. These unhealed places in your heart create frequencies of fear and protection that, while they served you at one time, now keep you from receiving the love and abundance that wants to flow to you. But perhaps the most subtle and persistent static is the belief that you have to be perfect before you can have what you want. This perfectionism creates a frequency of never being ready, never being good enough, always needing to improve before you can receive. It keeps you in a state of preparation rather than participation. All of these blocks, all of this static, creates what I think of as mixed signals. Part of you is saying yes to love and abundance and joy, while another part is saying no, it's not safe, you don't deserve it, it won't last. The universe receives these mixed signals and responds with mixed results. You get a little of what you want, but not quite enough. Things start to work out, but then they fall apart. You take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. The beautiful thing is that you don't have to psychoanalyze every block or understand where every piece of static comes from. You don't have to dig up every painful memory or trace every limiting belief back to its source. What you need to do is much simpler and much more gentle. You need to bring love to these places within you. When you notice yourself thinking you're not enough, instead of fighting that thought or judging yourself for having it, you can simply say, I notice I'm having the not enough thought again, and I choose to be gentle with myself. When you catch yourself holding back from life because you're afraid of disappointment, you can lovingly acknowledge that part of you that's trying to protect you and reassure it that you're strong enough to handle whatever comes. The goal isn't to eliminate all these blocks overnight. The goal is to stop letting them run your life unconsciously. When you bring conscious awareness and loving acceptance to your blocks, they begin to soften. When you stop fighting against them and start working with them, they start to transform. When you understand that these patterns develop to protect you and thank them for their service while gently choosing something different, you create space for new patterns to emerge. This clearing of static is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. Some days you'll feel clear and aligned and powerful. Other days you'll feel cloudy and stuck and small. Both are part of the journey. The key is to meet yourself with love and patience wherever you are, and to keep choosing the thoughts and beliefs that serve your highest good. As you begin to clear this static, as you lovingly address these blocks, you'll notice that your signal to the universe becomes clearer and stronger. What you want and what you receive start to align. Your outer world begins to reflect your inner transformation. The universe doesn't have to decode mixed messages anymore. It receives a clear, loving, confident signal, and it responds in kind. There's something I want to share with you that might surprise you. Of all the frequencies you can broadcast to the universe, of all the energies you can send out into the world, there's one that the universe responds to more powerfully than any other. It's not gratitude, though gratitude is beautiful. It's not faith, though faith moves mountains. It's not even love for others, though that love changes everything it touches. The frequency that makes you absolutely irresistible to the universe is love for yourself. This might feel uncomfortable to hear if you've been taught that self-love is selfish or that putting yourself first is wrong. But let me tell you why self-love is actually the most generous, the most necessary, and the most powerful thing you can offer the world. When you truly love yourself, you stop looking to others to fill the empty places inside you. You stop trying to get from the world what you're not willing to give to yourself. You stop broadcasting the frequency of need and start broadcasting the frequency of wholeness. The universe responds to wholeness. It responds to the energy of someone who knows their worth, who appreciates their uniqueness, who treats themselves with kindness and respect. When you love yourself, you're telling the universe, I am valuable. I am worthy of good things. I am deserving of love and abundance and joy. And the universe says, yes, you are, and sends you experiences that match that knowing. But when you don't love yourself, when you criticize yourself and judge yourself and treat yourself harshly, you're telling the universe, I am not valuable. I don't deserve good things. I am not worthy of love. And the universe, which always says yes to whatever you believe about yourself, sends you experiences that match that belief too. This is why all the visualization and affirmation and manifestation techniques in the world won't work if you don't fundamentally like yourself. You can say, I am abundant 1,000 times a day, but if in your heart you believe you don't deserve abundance, the universe will respond to what's in your heart, not what's coming out of your mouth. Self-love isn't about thinking you're perfect or never seeing areas where you'd like to grow. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness you would show a dear friend. It's about speaking to yourself the way you would speak to someone you care about. It's about making choices that honor your well-being and your dreams and your authentic self. Most of us learned to love ourselves conditionally. We learned that we were lovable when we were good, when we achieved something, when we made others happy, when we didn't make mistakes. This conditional love creates a frequency of constantly trying to earn what should be freely given. It puts you in a perpetual state of proving yourself worthy instead of knowing yourself worthy. But the universe doesn't love you conditionally. The universe doesn't love you more when you're successful and less when you're struggling. The universe doesn't love you more when you're happy and less when you're sad. The universe loves you because you exist, period. Your worth isn't based on your performance or your achievements or your ability to be perfect. Your worth is inherent, unchangeable, and absolute. When you begin to love yourself the way the universe loves you, unconditionally, completely, just because you are you, everything shifts. You stop trying to manipulate and control and force your way to what you want, and you start allowing it to come to you naturally. You stop broadcasting the frequency of I'm not enough and start broadcasting the frequency of I am exactly who I'm meant to be. This shift often begins with something as simple as how you talk to yourself. Most of us have an inner voice that would be arrested for harassment if it spoke to anyone else the way it speaks to us. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to our worst enemy. We criticize our appearance, our choices, our progress, our very existence with a cruelty that would shock us if we heard someone else doing it. But what would happen if you started speaking to yourself the way someone who truly loved you would speak to you? What if you started treating yourself with the gentleness and patience and encouragement that you give so freely to others? What if you started celebrating your small victories instead of focusing on your mistakes? What if you started acknowledging your efforts instead of only seeing your failures? This is where the magic of mirror work comes in. I know it might feel silly at first, but looking into your own eyes and speaking words of love and appreciation to yourself is one of the most powerful things you can do. When you look in the mirror and say, I love you, to yourself, you're not just saying words, you're changing your relationship with the most important person in your life. Start small if this feels too big. Look in the mirror and say, I'm willing to love you. or I'm learning to love you, or simply, you matter. Notice what comes up when you do this. Notice the voice that says you're being ridiculous or narcissistic or fake. That voice is just old programming, and it doesn't have to run your life anymore. You can also try this. When you catch yourself being self-critical, pause and ask yourself, what would I say to a friend who was going through this? Then say that to yourself instead. When you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, try saying, it's okay, honey. Everyone makes mistakes. What can we learn from this? When you're feeling scared or overwhelmed, instead of telling yourself to toughen up, try saying, this is hard right now, and I'm going to be gentle with myself through it. The more you practice speaking to yourself with love, the more natural it becomes. The more you treat yourself with kindness, the more your whole energy field shifts. The more you appreciate yourself, the more the universe has to appreciate about you too. Self-love also means making choices that honor who you really are and what you really need. It means saying no to things that drain you and yes to things that fill you up. It means taking care of your body because you love it, not because you hate it. It means pursuing dreams that light you up inside, not dreams that look good to other people. It means surrounding yourself with people who see your worth and celebrate your uniqueness. When you live from this place of genuine self-love, you become magnetic in the most beautiful way. People are drawn to your energy because it's authentic and confident and warm. Opportunities come to you more easily because you're not desperately chasing them. You're worthy of them. Abundance flows to you more naturally because you're not blocking it with feelings of unworthiness. Self-love is the foundation that everything else is built on. It's the frequency that makes all other frequencies possible. When you truly love yourself, gratitude becomes natural because you appreciate the gift of your own existence. Faith becomes easier because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes. Joy becomes more accessible because you're not waiting for external circumstances to give you permission to be happy. The universe has been waiting for you to love yourself the way it loves you. It has been waiting for you to see yourself the way it sees you. It has been waiting for you to treat yourself the way it wants to treat you. When you finally do this, when you finally offer yourself the love you've been seeking everywhere else, the universe celebrates. And that celebration shows up as all the blessings you've been longing for. Now, once you begin to establish this loving relationship with yourself, something beautiful happens. You start to tune in to what's authentic for you versus what you think you should want. This is where the real magic begins, because the universe responds most powerfully when you're being genuinely, completely, unapologetically yourself. There's a difference between what your ego wants and what your soul wants, and learning to distinguish between these two voices is essential for clear communication with the universe. Your ego wants things that will make you look good, feel safe, or prove your worth to others. Your soul wants things that will help you grow, serve your highest purpose, and express your unique gifts in the world. Your ego might want a big house to impress people, while your soul wants a home where you feel peaceful and connected to nature. Your ego might want a relationship that looks perfect on the outside, while your soul wants a partnership that challenges you to grow and love more deeply. Your ego might want a job that pays well and sounds impressive, while your soul wants work that feels meaningful and allows you to contribute something valuable to the world. Neither of these desires is wrong, but they create very different frequencies. When you're pursuing something from your ego, there's often an underlying energy of proving, competing, or trying to be someone you're not. When you're pursuing something from your soul, there's an energy of joy, excitement, and natural expansion. The universe responds much more readily to soul desires than ego desires, not because the universe judges one as better than the other, but because soul desires are aligned with who you really are. When you want something that's authentically yours, your whole being says yes to it. There's no internal conflict, no mixed signals, no part of you that's secretly sabotaging your efforts. But how do you know the difference? How do you distinguish between what you think you should want and what you actually want? One way is to notice how different desires feel in your body. Soul desires usually feel light and expansive and exciting. There's a sense of yes, this, that bubbles up from somewhere deep inside you. Ego desires often feel heavier, more anxious, more driven by fear of what will happen if you don't get them. Another way to tell the difference is to ask yourself why you want something. If your reasons are mostly about how it will make you look to others, or how it will prove your worth, or how it will give you security, it's probably an ego desire. If your reasons have to do with how it will allow you to express yourself, serve others, or grow into who you're becoming, it's probably a soul desire. The beautiful thing about pursuing soul desires is that the path to them often becomes as fulfilling as the destination. When you're moving towards something that's authentically yours, each step feels meaningful. You're not just trying to get somewhere. You're enjoying the journey of becoming who you need to be to receive what you want. Living authentically also means being honest about who you are right now, not just who you want to become. It means honoring your current feelings, your current limitations, your current stage of growth, while also holding space for your expansion and evolution. You don't have to pretend to be further along than you are or more positive than you feel. Authenticity includes all of who you are, including the parts that are still healing and growing. When you live authentically, you naturally attract people, opportunities, and experiences that are aligned with who you really are. You stop wasting energy trying to maintain a false image or live up to expectations that don't fit you. You stop trying to force doors open and start walking through the doors that open naturally for you. This doesn't mean that living authentically is always easy or that everything will immediately fall into place. Sometimes being authentic means making choices that others don't understand. Sometimes it means disappointing people who had different expectations for your life. Sometimes it means letting go of things that look good on paper but don't feel right in your heart. But here's what I've learned. The temporary discomfort of living authentically is always less painful than the ongoing suffering of living a life that isn't yours. When you honor your authentic self, you might lose some things, but what you gain is invaluable. You gain yourself. You gain the joy that comes from expressing who you really are. You gain the peace that comes from not having to pretend. You gain the power that comes from being aligned with your truth. The universe is always supporting your authentic expression. It's always conspiring to help you become more fully yourself. When you align with this support instead of fighting against it, when you choose authenticity over approval, when you honor your soul's calling over your ego's demands, you become unstoppable. Not because you're forcing your way through life, but because you're flowing with the current that was always meant to carry you. Living authentically is a daily practice. It's choosing to speak your truth in conversations instead of saying what you think people want to hear. It's wearing clothes that make you feel like yourself instead of clothes that make you look like someone else. It's pursuing interests that fascinate you even if they seem weird to others. It's setting boundaries that honor your energy and your values. It's saying yes to invitations that excite you and no to invitations that drain you. The more you practice living authentically, the clearer your signal to the universe becomes. You're not sending mixed messages anymore. You're sending the clear, strong frequency of someone who knows who they are and isn't afraid to be it. This frequency is absolutely irresistible to the universe because it's the frequency of truth, and truth is what the universe is made of. There's another frequency that acts like a magnet for universal blessings, and it's one that transforms everything it touches. It's the frequency of gratitude, but not gratitude as a technique or a tool to get something. Gratitude as a way of being, a way of seeing, a way of living that acknowledges the abundance that's already here. Most of us have been taught to focus on what's missing from our lives. We notice what we don't have, what's not working, what we wish were different. This focus on lack creates more experiences of lack, not because the universe is punishing us, but because we're literally training our minds to see scarcity everywhere we look. But when you shift your attention to what's already here, what's already working, what's already beautiful and good and abundant in your life, something magical happens. You start to see that you're actually living in a world that's overflowing with gifts. You start to notice the countless ways that life is supporting you, caring for you, providing for you every single day. Right now, as you're listening to these words, there are hundreds of things happening in your body that you don't have to think about or manage or make happen. Your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, your blood is flowing, your cells are regenerating. There are trillions of processes happening seamlessly to keep you alive and healthy, and you don't have to do anything but receive this gift. Right now, there are people somewhere in the world who love you, who are thinking good thoughts about you, who are grateful that you exist. There are probably people you've never met whose lives have been touched by something you said or did, some kindness you showed, some example you set. Right now, there are countless systems working perfectly to support your life. The sun is shining at exactly the right distance to warm the earth without burning it. Plants are turning carbon dioxide into oxygen so you can breathe. The earth is rotating at exactly the right speed to create day and night. Water is cycling through the atmosphere to provide rain and snow and rivers and oceans. When you really start to pay attention to all the abundance that's already flowing in your life, all the support that's already there, all the love that's already surrounding you, your whole energy field shifts. You move from the frequency of "I don't have enough" to the frequency of "I am so blessed." You move from the frequency of "life is hard" to the frequency of "life is constantly giving to me." This shift in perception is what makes gratitude so powerful. It's not that you're pretending everything is perfect or ignoring real challenges in your life. It's that you're choosing to give equal time and attention to what's working, what's beautiful, what's going right. You're training your mind to be as good at noticing blessings as it is at noticing problems. The universe responds to this frequency of appreciation by sending you more things to appreciate, not because you've earned them or because you've said the right magic words, but because appreciation opens you up to receive what's already being offered. When you're grateful for what you have, you're in a state of receptivity. When you're focused on what you lack, you're in a state of resistance. But true gratitude goes even deeper than appreciating what you have. True gratitude includes being thankful for who you are, for the journey you've been on, for the lessons you've learned, even for the challenges that have helped you grow. When you can find genuine appreciation for your whole story, not just the easy parts, but the difficult parts too, you become truly unstoppable. This doesn't mean being grateful for abuse or trauma or injustice. It means being grateful for your resilience, for your strength, for your ability to survive and even thrive in spite of difficult circumstances. It means being grateful for the wisdom you've gained, the compassion you've developed, the depth of character that comes from facing challenges and choosing to keep your heart open anyway. Living in gratitude also means appreciating the present moment, instead of always looking to the future for your happiness. So much of our wanting comes from the belief that we'll be happy when we get what we want, when we reach our goals, when our circumstances change. But this puts your happiness perpetually in the future. and keeps you from enjoying the gifts that are available right now. The present moment is where your power lies. It's where your life is actually happening. It's where the universe meets you and offers you everything you need. When you can find appreciation for this moment, for the breath you're breathing, for the heart that's beating in your chest, for the fact that you're alive and aware and capable of growth and change, you tap into a source of fulfillment that doesn't depend on external circumstances. One simple practice that can transform your relationship with gratitude is to start and end each day by noticing 3 things you're grateful for. But instead of just thinking about them, really feel them. Let your appreciation for these things fill your heart and your body. Let yourself be moved by the goodness that's present in your life. You can also practice what I call stealth gratitude throughout your day. When you're washing your hands, appreciate the miracle of clean, running water. When you're eating a meal, appreciate the nourishment that's being provided for your body. When you see a tree or a flower or the sky, appreciate the beauty that's freely given to you every day. When someone is kind to you, even in a small way, let yourself really receive that kindness and feel grateful for it. This practice of moment-to-moment appreciation changes your whole relationship with life. Instead of always looking for something better, you start noticing how much goodness is already here. Instead of taking your blessings for granted, you start seeing them as the miracles they really are. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, you start celebrating what you do have. When gratitude becomes your natural way of being, when appreciation becomes your default response to life, you become a magnet for more experiences that will delight and surprise and bless you. The universe loves to give to grateful hearts because grateful hearts know how to receive with joy and wonder. And in that receiving, in that celebration, in that appreciation for what is, space is created for even more good to flow into your life. When you're living from this place of self-love, authenticity, and gratitude, you'll start to notice something beautiful happening. You'll begin to sense a guidance that comes not from your mind trying to figure everything out, but from a deeper wisdom that knows exactly what steps to take and when to take them. This is what I call sacred action, movement that flows from your connection with the universe, rather than from fear or force or the belief that everything depends on your effort alone. Most of us have been taught that we need to make things happen through hard work and determination and pushing through obstacles. While effort and commitment certainly have their place, there's a different way of moving through the world that's far more effective and far more joyful. It's the way of inspired action, of allowing yourself to be guided by the same intelligence that grows flowers and moves planets and beats your heart without any conscious effort from you. Sacred action feels different from forced action. When you're forcing, there's a quality of struggle and strain and trying to make something happen that doesn't want to happen. When you're taking sacred action, there's a quality of flow and ease and natural timing. Things unfold more gracefully, doors open more easily, the right people appear at the right time, resources show up just when you need them. This doesn't mean that sacred action is always easy or that you'll never encounter challenges. But it does mean that even the challenges feel purposeful, like they're teaching you something important or preparing you for what's coming next. Instead of feeling like you're fighting against life, you feel like you're dancing with it. Learning to recognize and follow sacred action is like learning to hear a subtle inner voice that's always been there, but might have been drowned out by louder voices of fear and doubt and social conditioning. This voice doesn't shout at you or demand immediate action. It whispers, it suggests, it invites. It feels like a gentle pull towards something that excites you or intrigues you or just feels right somehow. Sometimes sacred action looks like taking a walk when you feel stuck and discovering exactly the insight you needed. Sometimes it looks like calling a friend on impulse and learning about an opportunity that's perfect for you. Sometimes it looks like taking a different route to work and encountering something that shifts your perspective. Sometimes it looks like saying yes to an invitation that your logical mind thinks is a waste of time, but that leads to meaningful connections or opportunities. The key to recognizing sacred action is learning to feel the difference between the energy of inspiration and the energy of desperation. Inspiration feels light and expansive and exciting, even if what you're being called to do feels scary or challenging. Desperation feels heavy and contracted and urgent, like you have to do something right now or everything will fall apart. Inspiration often asks you to do things that don't make logical sense but feel right in your heart. Desperation asks you to do things that might make logical sense but feel forced or frantic. Inspiration trusts in divine timing and allows space for things to unfold naturally. Desperation tries to control timing and force outcomes. One of the most important aspects of sacred action is learning to create space in your life for guidance to come through. When your days are packed with activity and your mind is constantly busy, it's hard to hear the subtle voice of inspiration. But when you create moments of stillness, of quiet, of simply being present without an agenda, you create space for guidance to emerge. This might look like taking a few minutes each morning to sit quietly and ask, "What wants to emerge through me today?" It might look like taking regular walks in nature without your phone, allowing your mind to wander and your intuition to speak. It might look like keeping a journal where you write down your thoughts and feelings and notice what patterns or insights emerge. Sacred action also requires a willingness to start before you know exactly where you're going. The universe rarely gives you the whole plan up front. More often, it gives you the next step, and then when you take that step, it gives you the next one. This requires faith and trust, and a willingness to move forward even when you can't see the entire path. Think of it like driving at night. Your headlights only illuminate a small section of road ahead of you, but that's enough to keep moving safely toward your destination. You don't need to see the whole journey. You just need to see the next few feet. The universe works the same way. It gives you enough light to take the next step, and that's all you need. Sometimes sacred action asks you to wait rather than move forward. In a culture that values constant action and productivity, learning to wait with grace and trust can be one of the most challenging but important skills to develop. There are times when the most powerful thing you can do is nothing, when you need to allow circumstances to shift, people to make their own choices, or timing to align before taking action. This waiting isn't passive or resigned. It's active and aware and filled with trust. You're not waiting because you don't know what to do. You're waiting because you know that acting too soon would interfere with a larger unfolding that's taking place. You're waiting the way a gardener waits for seeds to sprout, knowing that the growth is happening even when it's not visible yet. Sacred action also means being willing to course correct when you receive new information or when circumstances change. The universe is always communicating with you through feedback, through the results you're getting, the opportunities that appear or disappear, the way things feel as you move forward. When you're taking sacred action, you're responsive to this feedback rather than rigidly attached to a specific plan. Sometimes what felt like sacred action yesterday doesn't feel right today, and that's okay. You're not failing or making a mistake. You're evolving, and your path is evolving with you. The willingness to adjust and adapt and follow the guidance as it changes is part of the dance of sacred action. When you live this way, when you allow yourself to be guided by the deeper intelligence that connects all things, your life becomes an adventure rather than a struggle. You start to trust that you're being led toward your highest good, Even when you can't see how all the pieces fit together, you start to experience the joy of co-creating with the universe rather than trying to control every outcome. All of these practices and insights are beautiful, but they only transform your life when they become part of how you live each day. The most profound spiritual understanding in the world won't change anything if it stays as an idea in your head, rather than becoming a lived experience in your daily reality. This is why creating a daily practice is so essential. It's how you turn occasional moments of alignment into a consistent way of being. Your daily practice doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's practice or follow any particular tradition or format. What matters is that it's consistent, that it feels authentic to you, and that it helps you remember who you really are and what you're really here to do. The most important element of any daily practice is beginning each day by connecting with yourself and setting an intention for how you want to show up in the world. This might be as simple as taking 3 deep breaths when you first wake up and asking yourself, how do I want to feel today? Or, what energy do I want to bring to my interactions today? Some people like to start their day with meditation or prayer or reading something inspiring. Others prefer to begin with movement or journaling or spending time in nature. What matters isn't the specific activity. What matters is that you're taking time to consciously connect with your inner wisdom and align yourself with love and possibility rather than immediately jumping into the demands and distractions of the day. Another essential element is creating moments throughout your day to pause and reconnect. These don't have to be long or formal. They can be as simple as taking a conscious breath before you enter a meeting, or saying a quiet thank you when something goes well, or checking in with yourself when you notice you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. These small moments of mindfulness and connection accumulate throughout the day and help you stay aligned with your highest self, rather than getting swept away by external circumstances. They help you remember that you have a choice in how you respond to whatever arises, and that choice is where your power lies. Evening practices are equally important because they help you process the day with love and appreciation rather than criticism and regret. This might look like writing down 3 things you're grateful for, or 3 things you learned, or 3 ways you showed love to yourself or others during the day. It might look like forgiving yourself for any mistakes you made and appreciating yourself for all the ways you showed up with good intentions. One of the most powerful daily practices is what I call affirmative living. Consciously choosing thoughts and words and actions that support the reality you want to create rather than reinforcing the reality you want to change. This means catching yourself when you're thinking or speaking from lack or fear or limitation, and gently choosing thoughts and words that align with abundance and love and possibility. For example, instead of saying, I can't afford that, you might say, I'm choosing to spend my money on other priorities right now. Instead of saying, I'm so bad at this, you might say, I'm learning and improving every day. Instead of saying, nothing ever works out for me, you might say, I'm open to discovering how things can work out in ways I haven't imagined yet. This isn't about denying reality or pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about choosing to focus on possibilities rather than limitations, on solutions rather than problems, on what you want to create rather than what you want to avoid. Another essential daily practice is taking care of your body as the sacred vessel that carries your spirit through this world. This means eating foods that nourish you, moving your body in ways that feel good, getting enough rest, drinking plenty of water, and treating your physical self with the same love and respect you would show a dear friend. Your body is constantly communicating with you about what it needs and how it's feeling, and learning to listen to these messages is part of developing your overall intuition and connection with yourself. When you honor your body's needs, you're more likely to feel energetic and clear and emotionally balanced, which makes it easier to maintain your spiritual practices and stay aligned with your highest self. Daily practice also includes surrounding yourself with influences that support your growth and well-being rather than undermine it. This means being mindful about what you read, what you watch, what you listen to, and who you spend time with. It means choosing inputs that inspire you and uplift you and remind you of your potential rather than inputs that drain you or fill you with fear or negativity. The goal of daily practice isn't perfection, it's progress and consistency and self-compassion. Some days your practice will feel inspired and transformative. Other days it will feel routine or even difficult. Both are part of the journey. What matters is that you keep showing up for yourself. Keep choosing love over fear. Keep aligning with the truth of who you are and what you're capable of creating. As your daily practice becomes more established, you'll notice that the qualities you cultivate during your formal practice time begin to show up naturally throughout your day. The peace you experience during meditation starts to be available to you in stressful situations. The gratitude you practice in the morning starts to color how you see everything that happens. The self-love you affirm begins to influence how you treat yourself in all circumstances. This is when you know that your practice is working, not because your life becomes perfect, but because you become more consistent in how you respond to imperfection. You become more reliable in your commitment to love, more steady in your trust that everything is working out for your highest good, more confident in your ability to handle whatever comes with grace and wisdom. Now, there's one more key that unlocks everything else we've talked about, and it might be the most challenging and the most liberating of all. It's the practice of trust and surrender, letting go of your need to control how and when and exactly how your dreams unfold, and instead trusting that the universe knows what it's doing and has a plan that's even better than anything you could imagine. For most of us, surrender feels scary because we've been taught that if we don't control everything, nothing good will happen. We've been conditioned to believe that we have to figure out every detail, anticipate every problem, and force every outcome or our lives will fall apart. But this need to control actually blocks the very flow of abundance and love we're trying to create. True surrender isn't about giving up or being passive or resigning yourself to whatever happens. True surrender is about doing your part with love and commitment and then trusting the universe to do its part. It's about planting seeds with care and attention and then trusting the soil and the sun and the rain to help them grow. It's about setting intentions and taking inspired action and then allowing space for miracles to occur. When you try to control every aspect of how your dreams manifest, you're essentially telling the universe that you know better than it does about what's possible for your life. You're limiting infinite potential to the boundaries of what your human mind can imagine. But when you surrender control while maintaining trust, you open yourself to possibilities that are far greater than anything you could have planned or forced. Surrender also means trusting divine timing rather than demanding that things happen according to your timeline. The universe operates on a different schedule than your ego does. Your ego wants everything yesterday. The universe knows that some things need time to develop, that certain pieces need to fall into place before others can occur, that you might need to grow in certain ways before you're ready to receive what you've asked for. This doesn't mean that you should be passive or that you should never feel disappointed when things don't happen as quickly as you'd like. It means that you can hold your desires lightly with open hands rather than clenched fists. You can stay committed to what you want while being flexible about how it comes to you. One of the most beautiful aspects of surrender is that it frees you from the exhausting job of trying to manage everything yourself. When you truly trust that the universe is supporting you, you can relax into your life instead of struggling through it. You can focus your energy on the things that are truly yours to do and let the universe handle the rest. Surrender also means accepting that sometimes what you think you want isn't actually what would serve your highest good. Sometimes the universe says no to your requests, not to deny you happiness, but to redirect you towards something even better. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually protection. Sometimes what looks like a closed door is actually an invitation to walk through a different door that leads somewhere more wonderful. Learning to surrender requires developing faith, not blind faith that ignores reality, but conscious faith that recognizes the intelligence and love that orchestrates everything from the movement of galaxies to the beating of your heart. This intelligence is what guides birds during migration, tells flowers when to bloom, and coordinates the countless systems that keep life functioning perfectly on this planet. This same intelligence is guiding your life even when you can't see how. Surrender is also about releasing your attachment to being right about how you think things should unfold. Maybe you've decided that you need a specific job at a specific company, but the universe knows about an opportunity that doesn't even exist yet that would be perfect for your unique talents and interests. Maybe you've decided that you need a relationship to look a certain way, but the universe is preparing you to experience a kind of love that's deeper and more fulfilling than what you've imagined. This doesn't mean that your desires don't matter or that you shouldn't have preferences or goals. It means that you can hold your preferences lightly while staying open to even better possibilities. You can say to the universe, "This is what I think I want, but I'm open to what you know would make me truly happy." Practicing surrender often begins with small things. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of getting frustrated about being late, you can practice trusting that you're exactly where you need to be and that everything will work out as it should. When someone cancels plans unexpectedly, instead of being annoyed, you can practice trusting that this change in schedule is somehow serving your highest good, even if you can't see how. As you practice surrender in small situations, you build the muscle of trust that you can use in bigger situations. You start to experience how much more peaceful and joyful life becomes when you're not constantly fighting against what is. You start to notice how often things work out better than you expected when you allow space for solutions you hadn't considered. The ultimate surrender is trusting that you are loved, that you matter, that your life has purpose and meaning, and that everything you've experienced, even the difficult things, has been preparing you for something beautiful. When you live from this place of deep trust, you become unstoppable, not because you're forcing your way through life, but because you're flowing with the current that was always meant to carry you home. My beautiful friend, we've traveled quite a journey together, haven't we? We've explored the invisible threads that connect you to all of creation, the sacred frequency of your own energy, and the magnificent truth of who you really are. We've talked about clearing away the old stories that no longer serve you, embracing the radical act of loving yourself completely, and living so authentically that your very presence becomes a gift to the world. We've discovered together that gratitude isn't just something you practice. It's a way of seeing that transforms everything it touches. We've learned that action guided by love feels completely different from action driven by fear, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is trust enough to surrender your need to control every outcome. But now comes the most important part of our journey together: what happens next? Because everything we've shared, every insight and invitation and gentle truth only matters if it begins to live in your daily experience. The real magic doesn't happen when you understand these ideas intellectually. The real magic happens when you begin to embody them, to live them, to let them change how you move through your world. You don't have to transform everything at once. You don't have to become perfect or completely healed or totally enlightened before you can start receiving the abundance that's meant for you. You just have to begin. You just have to take one small step toward treating yourself with more kindness. One small step toward trusting your authentic voice. One small step toward appreciating what's already beautiful in your life. The universe has been waiting so patiently for this moment. The moment when you finally begin to see yourself the way it sees you. Not as someone who needs to earn love, but as someone who is love. Not as someone who has to prove their worth, but as someone whose worth is woven into the very fabric of existence. Not as someone who has to fight for their place in this world, but as someone who belongs here as naturally as stars belong in the sky. When you begin to live from this knowing, when you begin to breathe from this truth, when you begin to choose from this place of inherent worthiness, everything shifts. Your relationships become more authentic because you're no longer trying to get love. You're sharing it. Your work becomes more fulfilling because you're no longer trying to prove yourself. You're expressing yourself. Your days become more joyful because you're no longer waiting for permission to be happy. You're claiming the happiness that's already yours. The path ahead of you is unique and beautiful and completely yours to walk. There will be days when you feel clear and connected and powerful, and there will be days when you feel confused and scared and small. Both are part of the journey. Both are opportunities to practice love, to choose trust, to remember who you really are. On the clear days, let yourself celebrate. Let yourself feel grateful for how far you've come and how much you've grown. Let yourself appreciate the courage it takes to keep choosing love in a world that often rewards fear. On the difficult days, let yourself be gentle. Let yourself remember that growth isn't always comfortable, that healing isn't always linear, that becoming who you're meant to be is the greatest adventure you'll ever take. Remember that you're not alone on this journey. You're connected to every other soul who has ever chosen love over fear, growth over safety, authenticity over approval. You're part of a magnificent web of consciousness that's constantly supporting your highest good, even when you can't feel it. Trust yourself. Trust your intuition. Trust your ability to navigate whatever comes with grace and wisdom. Trust that you have everything within you that you need to create a life that brings you joy and allows you to share your unique gifts with the world. Trust that the universe is always conspiring in your favor, always working to help you remember who you really are and why you're here. And please be patient with yourself as you practice these new ways of being. Change takes time. Healing takes time. Becoming who you're meant to be takes time. But every moment you choose love over fear. Every moment you choose authenticity over pretense. Every moment you choose gratitude over complaint. You're moving closer to the life that's waiting for you. You are so much more powerful than you know. You are so much more loved than you can imagine. You are so much more needed in this world than you might believe. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. Your unique way of seeing and being and loving matters more than words can express. The universe hasn't forgotten about you. It hasn't overlooked you or decided you don't deserve good things. It has been waiting with infinite patience and endless love for you to remember who you are, for you to claim your birthright of joy and abundance and peace, for you to step into the fullness of your magnificent self. That time is now. This moment is your moment. This breath is your beginning. You are ready, you are worthy, and you are so deeply loved. Trust yourself. Trust the journey. Trust that everything you need will be provided as you need it. The universe cannot ignore you because you are not separate from it. You are an essential part of its infinite creative expression. When you live from this knowing, when you breathe from this truth, when you love from this place of connection, you become absolutely irresistible to all the good that life has to offer. And so it is, and so you are. And so begins your beautiful new chapter of living in alignment with all that you are and all that you're meant to become. The universe is celebrating your willingness to remember who you really are. And I am celebrating you too.